Okay, then let's continue to talk about the historical development about tea culture. As we said earlier, tea was discovered by Shen Nong in 4,700 years ago. And originally, it was used as medicine. So let me talk about the development. So first of all, in Shangchao and Zhouchao, so at that time, tea was used as medicine, mainly as medicine. But in that early time, tea was also part of food. Do you still remember people cook, food with tea? They put tea leaves and then cook with what? Do you still remember that? Yes, they put orange peels or some, spring onions or what is so-called scallion or some salt and cook it with rice and then eat it as part of the meal. So in Shangchao and Zhouchao, tea was also used as medicine and then food. And later on in Han Dynasty, people continue using tea as medicine, but they boil tea leaves. They boil tea leaves, fresh tea leaves. And later to Tang Dynasty, Tang Chao is the most important period for tea culture development. At that time, tea culture fully booming. And during that time, tea was exported to Japan through monks. And also, the first tea book was written by Lu Yu. The book is called the classical book. So later we will talk about that. So for Tang Dynasty, people started drinking tea, and then it's part of the social life gathering. When people gather together, not only local people, not only royalties, local people, or noble people, they gather together, they drink tea, and then use it as a medium to talk, to do something. Now let's talk about the classic of tea, Cha Jing, written by Lu Yu. It's a comprehensive book consisting 10 chapters. And then it describes, the origin, including Shen Nong discovered tea, and then the production and tea culture in Tang Dynasty. So as I said, this is a very important book and the first book in some tea-related activities. So Lu Yu actually is from Tang Chao, and his book consisted of 10 chapters, including origin and then production, like plantation, and also processing, tea utensil, brewing, and tea testing, so etc. So it's a very important book. And then the contribution Lu Yu made to the development of tea appreciation is really huge. So as we know, he was also considered as the father of tea, or the sage of tea, or the tea saint. In his book, he described some very important skills of making tea. So he made a big move from tea cooking as kind of food. In the earlier time, we talked about tea was used as medicine and also used as part of the food. So he helped transform from tea cooking, quench your thirst, to tea appreciation. So he focused on the skills, the knowledge, and also the practice, how to make tea as the central part of tea appreciation. And also at the same time, cultivate people's temperament and calm our mind down, and then use it as a medium for mindfulness activity. He also set up a very important model for tea appreciation and tea ceremony in terms of tea appreciation. So he's a very important person. And the next part I want to talk about is Cha Ma Gu Dao, the tea horse ancient road. It's a connection of trade routes in ancient China. In 2012, I went to Yunnan, Chama Gudao. So it was very interesting. Nowadays, it became like a deep forest, part of the deep forest. But in the past, it was a very important path. People carry tea bricks in the back, and that was carried by horses. So they started from Yunnan or Sichuan and moved to the west to Tibet, or either west to Middle East or further. So at that time, it is very important, like economic, or trade route. So it connected Yunnan and Sichuan to Tibet. And it is also a very important cultural heritage in terms of economics and trade and tea development. And in Song and the Ming Dynasty, so they used powder tea, became very popular. And also there were many competitions, and they focus on, like beauty of tea, particularly in Ming Dynasty. They started to use roasting skills to make tea, which bring out better aroma. And they also use tea leaves. Those tea leaves replace powder tea. And at that time, in Ming Dynasty, they used teapot, this kind of teapot, to make tea. So because the teapot is small, or even smaller like this one is really small, but I like it. So they use this kind of teapots to make tea. So in terms of Gongfu tea, you need to use smaller cups like this, not big mug. So why? Why to do it? So in Ming Dynasty, people started to think about tea appreciation. So they use smaller cups like this to test, different aroma or different fragrance and different aftertaste by using smaller teacup, and then one pouring maybe different from another. So they focus on the beauty, the aesthetic part of tea. So in Ming Dynasty, tea culture, especially teapot, and then tea making became more advanced. After that, in 17th century onward, tea spread from China to other parts of the world, and also to Europe. So in Module 2, next time, I will talk about tea cultures around the world, so that you will know the difference between European tea cultures or Asian tea cultures, what are their features, what are their characteristics, and what is it different from our Chinese or Taiwanese tea culture. So in the next module, I will talk about that more. So after 17th century until now, tea becomes one of the most consumed beverages, people's daily life. And tea plays an important part, especially people drink it, use it as energy booster, very relaxing, drinks for them. So a lot of people drink tea almost every day, like me. So tea is an important part of people's life. So it has strong cultural traditions, not only in Taiwan or China, but across many countries. Like actually I visited some part of Luyu. We can hear Luyu tea culture. So as we know, Luyu, we can hear Luyu in some tea-related activities. So Luyu actually was from Tang Chao, and his book consisted of 10 chapters, including origin and then production, like plantation, and also processing, tea utensil, brewing, and tea testing, so etc. So it's a very important book. And then the contribution Luyu made to the development of tea appreciation is really huge. So as we know, he was also considered as the father of tea, or the sage of tea, or the tea saint. In his book, he described some very important skills of making tea. So he made a big move from tea cooking as kind of food, in the early time, we talked about tea was used as medicine and also used as part of the food. So he helped transform from tea cooking, quench your thirst, to tea appreciation. So he focused on the skills, the knowledge, and also the practice, how to make tea as the central part of tea appreciation. And also at the same time, cultivate people's temperament and calm our mind down, and then use it as a medium for like mindfulness activity. He also set up a very important model for tea appreciation and tea ceremony in terms of tea appreciation. So he's a very important person.